And a very good afternoon, everybody. Welcome in to another edition of the Hockey Night on Board, a day edition of the Hockey Night on Board Flyers pregame show. Tonight, the Philadelphia Flyers take on the Colorado Avalanche as they meet up for the second and final time this season. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody. Welcome into another edition. Like I mentioned, I'm your host, James Scorza, with you for the next 15 minutes or so. While the Flyers are looking to try to look for answers after two straight losses that did not get a chance to either come back or had the opportunity to give the Flyers any hope in the last couple games against the Devils and the Islanders. And they look like they try to get back on track here today here in South Philadelphia. I would say that we should recap the previous game. But the only thing that came out of this game as we recap this previous game between the Flyers and Islanders, it was a chance that the Flyers could have got on the goal, could have been on the score sheet, and it was Matvei Michkov had the opportunity to give the Flyers a 1-0 lead, but unfortunately, early on in that first period, it was basically I guess it was waved off due to goaltender interference. I do not know what the circumstances was, but like I said, the Flyers did not get a goal there to make it 1-0 for there, but it was all Islanders in that game. Obviously, you think about the goaltender matchup in that game. Flyers have, for the second straight time and the second straight night, the Flyers have gotten shut out. They got shut out the night before against the New Jersey Devils. That was at Prudential Center, and they came back home having the same old results and the same old song and dance happening on Thursday night, and I expect to hopefully beat them, hopefully a better outcome in this game here tonight, especially, but it was all Islanders, like I mentioned, all Islanders indeed. They got off to a 1-0 lead, and it was 2-0, and then after that, they made it a 3-0 lead. But the big story in this game, it was not that the Flyers didn't have opportunities in the game to keep like their composure, but it happened exactly around. Excuse me, I thought I was going to sneeze. Sorry about that. But with the one thing that the Flyers need to do here today, in this recap of the previous game, it was just basically the Flyers were just shut out in back-to-back games and cannot happen against teams that were in the Metropolitan Division. All right, but the biggest news in the game here is that we get closer and closer to the key matchups of the game, is that the Flyers made a trade during the week, as it was a trade between Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee, shipping off and shipping out to Calgary in an exchange for Andrei Kuzmenko of the Calgary Flames and a player, I'm going to be troubling his name, but it's Jakob Pelletier, Peltier? Peltier, thank you. Jacob Peltier, Peltier and Kuzmenko to Philadelphia, and Calgary gets Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost in the trade. As the Flyers, the one thing I am really was good to know to see what the Flyers have in store, that this is a trade that the Flyers need to make, obviously, if you want to make the team better. For me, I like the trade. I really do. I think it's a really good asset that the Flyers could bring. Obviously, Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost did their job. I'm not saying that they didn't do much of a bad job offensively and defensively, but there was games that they started to slip a little bit. Obviously, John Tortorella, the head coach of the Flyers, tried to bench him once in a while to teach him a valuable lesson. And the good news is about what Kuzmenko's front, it was that him and Matvei Michkov were a part of the World Junior Champ. When I wouldn't say World Junior Championship, but the World Juniors up in Russia. So Michkov knows a thing or two about Andrei Kuzmenko going back to when he was a member of Team Russia in that World Juniors. And I think it's going to be a good tall task for him to get closer and closer, to get more maturity, and also have somebody to be a mentor to a rookie like Michkov to try to get back on track with that. I mean, it was one of those things that it had to happen. Obviously, I hate to see them go. It's sad to see them go, but I mean, I can understand why they did it. And Kuzmenko is a really good player. I think he's a really good player. I think he thought he did very well last year with Vancouver. He did very well this year with Calgary. Not know much about the other guy that we got in the trade for him, but like I said, this is but I can expect that the Flyers were trying to do whatever they can to get closer and closer to what the possibility is, about what the circumstances that they're trying to do as a franchise. Some players are going to be shipped off and shipped out, obviously. But it's something, I mean, it's not pieces that you would try to build around, obviously. It's not pieces that you try to build your team around. Obviously, Morgan Frost was good for a while. But if you're trying to get back closer and closer to a postseason push, I think this will be a good player to do, to make a trade with. I'm not going to be sure that Rasmus Ristolainen will be on the trade block now, because if you think about it, I think that will probably not open the door for Rusto being traded, maybe one step closer to him staying here. Then that's going to be the biggest thing I take out of it too. But for me, the one thing I was really surprised about too is that that I won't say that it. I mean, I wasn't saying that I am surprised, but the one thing I am surprised about, speaking of the upcoming player in Matvei Michkov, he got benched a couple nights ago, and people I guess it was like radio stations saying that it was not a good move, but I understand why John Tortorella was doing it. But at the same time, I mean, if you want to try to make have a winning culture here in Philadelphia, I mean, sometimes like you get a little bit of disagreements and also disapprovements, but it's also just going to try to make yourself better in the process as well. But sometimes, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm being weird here, but it's just that, I mean, it happens. I mean, look, if like there's going to be disagreements, there's going to be arguments. I mean, look, you're going to get benched once in a while. But it's like, I want to say the words like you have to play better to get better. Like you have to get better in the process. But look, I mean, it's a full 82 game season. The Flyers still got plenty of games left to try to get back in front. And not try to get back in front, but try to stay closer and closer to that Metropolitan Division, or try to make a postseason push here. But today is going to be a big key here. You got to keep Colorado in check along the way as well. But let's go to who's trending up and who's trending down topic on the night. Excuse me. So for who's trending up and who's trending down on this night, for who's trending up, I think it was more Danny Briere and Keith Jones on this part, that obviously they brought in Kuzmenko, and like I mentioned, but the one thing I'm really intrigued about too is that this could be a very good reminder about what Kuzmenko could bring to the table. Obviously, I think he's a free agent after this year, so it'll be a good tall test to see what he has in store. But also who's trending up in the positive direction is also the Colorado Avalanche, who made a 3-team trade over in the last couple of weeks or so when they took on actually, it was like a couple of players that Chicago's looking for prospects especially. So the Blackhawks traded away Taylor Hall to the Hurricanes, along with the Colorado Avalanche sending Mikko Rantanen to the Hurricanes as well in exchange for Marty Necas. So it was a 3-team trade, similar to what happened last night in the NBA with Luka Doncic going to the Lakers and Anthony Davis going to the Mavericks. But the one thing I'll say this though, it is that time of the year. Trade deadline is going to be big here for the Flyers to see what they look like, and also what they're going to look like with other players like shipped off and shipping out here. Obviously, like I mentioned, Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost trading away to Calgary. And so this will be a good tall test here soon, what the Flyers have in store for this upcoming matchup here in this game here today up in Denver. But who's trending down? It's been the goaltender situation all season long. It continues to bite them even more than anything like that. Obviously, you thought about Sam Ersson a couple nights ago. Did not look well against the Devils up at Prudential Center. And then the same night, not on the same night, but exactly 24 hours later, rather, it was Ivan Fedotov having himself a fair share of struggles. And now, speaking of goaltender matchups, the Flyers also brought, I'm not goaltender matchups, but speaking of goaltenders for the Flyers, they also brought back Alexei Kolosov from the Lehigh Valley Phantoms and see what he has in store for the next couple weeks or so as we get closer and closer to puck drop. So, like I said, Kuzmenko is in the lineup today, and also I would be sure that the new Flyers are going to be playing in this game today. So, and also you're going to be keep a close eye on for Marty Necas as well, because he has a fair share of goals against the Flyers. Not saying that he's a Flyer killer, but he's Like the last time the Flyers played against Carolina when he was a part of that day, the Flyers gave up a last-minute goal in the last few minutes of the game, and Marty Natchez was responsible for that. All right, let's go into our injuries and scratches for this game here tonight. So for the injuries and scratches for this game, for the injury front, it's basically the same as it was the last few games. Obviously, Nick Delorier still missed out now due to the upper body injury. Ryan Poehling is going to miss another game due to that concussion, so he's on IR. They're both on IR, rather. Nick Delorier and Ryan Poehling are both on injury reserve, so we're not going to see them for quite a while. And Yegor Zamora is going to miss his, I think it's going to be his fourth game now with the Flyers. And Owen Tippin, who missed the game on Tuesday night, he's going to miss the game on this game here tonight against Colorado. And for the scratches, these are two players that I actually did not expect to be on the scratch front. But it's Ross Johnston and Olin Zellweger. I don't know who these two players are, but I guess we're part of the Phantoms. I guess they're healthy scratches in this game tonight. So I guess we're going to see Ala Excel back in the lineup tonight for this matchup here tonight for the Flyers and the Avs game here tonight. And side, it's not Pepsi Arena anymore. It's called a Ball Arena. I keep on trying to catch myself with all kinds of different arena sponsorships kind of like twist my logic into a pretzel sometimes. I mean, even the Flyers Wells Fargo Center is going to be a different name at the end of this season as well. But let's get into our hang on a second. Let's get into our starting goaltender matchup for this game here tonight for the Flyers and the Avs. In goal today for the Flyers, they will be Sam Ersson back in goal after a disappointing outing on Wednesday against the Devils. And he has a 5-9-2 record this season and has a goals against average of 2.86. And for the Avalanche this day, it will be Mackenzie Blackwood, the former Devil. Speaking of the Devils, we can't get away from them, you know. So it will be Mackenzie Blackwood in goal today for Colorado, who's 16-14-5 this season and has a goals against average of 2.66. As it will be Ersson for the Flyers and Blackwood for the Avalanche. And for my final predictions in this game, I expect the Flyers to have a better outcome than they did the last couple games. Obviously, Colorado's not the same team as they once were back a few years ago when they won a Stanley Cup. This will be a good reminder that the Flyers can get back on track here tonight. Obviously, the last time when the Flyers took on Colorado in, I think it was around the first few weeks of November, excuse me. We're in February right now. What am I talking about? We're in November. The last time the Flyers played against them, it was also Eric Johnston Appreciation Night because that was his first. It was 1,000 games that Eric Johnson played in the game, and he's been a real good prop. He's been a real good piece for the Flyers to have, obviously, the last couple games, and he's been playing very, very well. And I expect Eric Johnson to be back in the lineup today for the Orange and Black. But I hope the Flyers do win. I hope they will be back on track here today, because right before we know it, the Flyers will be going up to Utah for the first time in the NHL's first meeting of the Flyers and Utah Hockey Club up at Salt Lake City, Utah. So that will be, I think it'll be a late game. It'll be a 9 o'clock game. So I'll be doing the pregame show a little bit later than expected. And that will be a 9 o'clock puck drop. And I'll be back for the 8:30 pregame show. That will be on Tuesday. That'll be on Tuesday afternoon. That'll be Tuesday night, rather, up at Salt Lake City, Utah. All right, that's gonna wrap up the Hockey Note on Board Flyers pregame show. But remember to stay tuned after the game. You got us covered for another next 25 minutes or so after the game. That will be the Third Line John Flyers postgame show with myself, Pavel, and Joey. Got you covered on this night here inside South Philadelphia as the Flyers take on the Avalanche. And that'll be over at our sister station, Stream Punk Entertainment. So we got you covered for that game immediately when the game goes final. I will be back again, like I mentioned, on Tuesday night when the Flyers take on Utah for the first time, the second meeting, but the first time in Salt Lake City, Utah. That'll be an 8:30 pregame show, puck drop close to 9 o'clock, after 9 o'clock, right here on Hardcore Sports Network. Well, that's going to wrap everything up here for tonight, and this has been the Hockey Night on Board Flyers pregame show, and I'm your host, James Scorza, saying thanks for watching, and also stay very warm out there. It's very cold out there here today in Philadelphia once again. I mean, I guess we're having another cold weather here, and also my thoughts and concerns are for everybody that suffer through that we're going through that went through that were a part that it was just a tragedy that happened up in Northeast Philly a couple nights ago. And my thoughts and concerns are with you guys, and hopefully better days to come. But until then, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Until then, we'll see you back here for the post-game show. Enjoy the game, and we will see you next time.